What's going on, folks? Welcome to another episode of Charm City Heavyweights Podcast, brought to you by Great Eights Memorabilia in Parkville, Maryland. I'm the host, Matt Turner. With me, as always, is my co-host, Josh Merrill. Josh, what is going on, man?
What's up, man? Coming live from the man cave, man. I want to get this game over with. I want to get the win, and then let everybody heal up and get some rest and relax next weekend and watch some football with no stress.
It, Absolutely, it's Sunday Night Football again this week. Another primetime game. Got the Los Angeles Chargers in LA. And before we get started on the show, just wanted to tell everybody that's following along, and listening. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back next Monday with our post game show following the Chargers game. And I want to give a special shout out, Josh, your niece, my little one Aubrey turns 6 tomorrow. So hopefully when she watches this, she'll be happy. Happy birthday, baby! I love you, and can't wait to spend the next couple of days with her. But before we get any further into the show, we have a special guest all the way from San Diego, California. He is one of the sports analyst that covers the Los Angeles Chargers for High Point Sports. This is Evan. Evan, how are you doing, man?
Man, what's going on, guys? I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here. San Diego, home of the Chargers, not anymore, but it always will be, man. Nothing, can't imagine losing a team, man. Can you imagine Baltimore, losing the
No,
Ravens? I mean, just, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, like it just big city,
No.
man. But I'm good, man. Chargers have been a little disappointing, but just happy to join you guys, man. Cool to cross paths, jump on, talk some football, preview what I expect to be a pretty good AFC game of two teams kind of going opposite directions, but lots of talent on the field, man. And yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Happy birthday to Aubrey as well. Multiple happy birthdays. Always nice to hear that. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
awesome. Welcome, buddy.
Not a problem. Welcome from the West Coast, man. We're thankful that you agreed to do the show on such short notice. You replied about 1 a.m. your time, so this was last minute, and uh, it's been a little bit of a challenging season for you guys so far. Not to mince any words. Obviously, there's well-known struggles with your head coach and how your fan base feels about him. Joey Bosa uh, hurt his foot. I don't know if it was an Achilles injury, but he's out for the year. He looked like he was in some considerable pain on the sideline last weekend, and it's it's one of those situations where this is a make or break kind of game for you guys, and this is us hoping to get by relatively unscathed into our bye week.
Yeah, I mean, Bosa hurts, man. I mean, nothing like seeing a grown man like that with his face in a towel, pretty much in tears. Obviously, that showed right there it wasn't good, and not good for the Chargers pass rush, man. That's not not very good already. Doesn't help them on the outside, and I don't know, man. It's tough to know what to think for this game with just the way the last few weeks have gone. But backs against the wall. I don't know if this team can make the playoffs really anyway, because I mean, one more loss is probably all they could handle. So can they win every game outside of one with everything that's happened? Yes, they're talented enough. They've done it before. It's kind of been a thing they do, get hot at the end of the year. They were kind of the same way some of those years with Rivers back in the day. They had some dominant teams, but they've always got hot in, December and into January. So, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, the core is there. It's just who outside of that and who on the defense is going to step up and make some plays, because you can't win a football game with, three guys every week balling out and a defense just getting shredded by whoever they play and not getting to the quarterback. And so I just don't know if this team is good enough, even though we all think that they seem good enough.
That's a fair assessment. I know Bosa definitely hurts. Evan, I wanted to kind of lead into the show. Josh is our resident film watcher for the show. He has all 22, and he usually breaks down our opponents, for the following week once the film drops. Josh, what are some things that you noticed on film about this Los Angeles Chargers football team?
They're inconsistent. they're very inconsistent on offense. You know, some games they look like the Chargers we've seen in the past with a high-powered offense when their running game gets going and Herbert looks comfortable back there. And then other games they look terrible. He looks lost, like you don't know what's going on. It's weird, man, because the Chargers have all the talent you need. They have the quarterback. They have the defensive players. They have the offensive guys. They have everything. I just think they're a coach away, honestly, from being a Super Bowl contender. But they're a confusing team, man, because like I said, it's Justin Herbert's a good quarterback, man. He's accurate as shit. You know, he's everything you want. And it's just not clicking, man. They got to do something. If I was a Charger fan, I couldn't imagine the frustration.
Evan, I know it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, as bad as they are with that inconsistency, it's like, you know, it's hard to win week in and week out in the NFL. They were in Green Bay, a team they're better than, but on the road. And QJ makes that catch at the end of the game. He might have gone to the house. They at least probably tie it up. I mean, then they're sitting here looking like get a win against the Ravens, and all of a sudden things look a lot different. So the inconsistency, Staley coaching, all of that is 100% accurate. But it's crazy that even with that, you know, a couple drops, things like that, they still could be more in it than they are. But I guess that's kind of what happens to teams that play inconsistent like that. The ball doesn't quite break their way. You know, small side note, I would have much rather seen Zay Flowers be drafted than Quentin Johnston. And I don't say that with the years they've had. I say that before the draft started. I can find that audio somewhere. I didn't like the pick of Mike Williams Jr. I didn't like his NFL skill set. Not saying Quentin can't be a good wide receiver. Just felt like a guy like Zay, if they were going to go wide receiver, fit this team much better.
Oh, God, I don't even want to think about him in that offense. Holy shit.
It's what they needed.
You're right.
Man.
I never thought about that. You're right, dude. That would have been scary.
It's crazy with the inconsistency you guys have had this year, because it's been highly reported, you know, because you guys are a premier team. You're in a very difficult division this year. I know that the Las Vegas Raiders are a dumpster fire. They're actually turning it around under Antonio Pierce. I don't know how long that's going to, you know, withhold. But the Denver Broncos are having a resurgence. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs, somewhat. Keenan Allen is 31 years old, and he is carrying the load at the wide receiver position. Actually, he's carrying the load offensively for your entire team. Austin Eckler's having an off year, so it just seems like Allen is really the glue that's keeping the entire offense together.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really the only guy that, you know, has been consistent, like you said. I mean, Eckler, the injury didn't help, and he came back and he's looked okay, but there was a play in that Green Bay game where, you know, he had a chance to kind of break away and he just like didn't hit that next level, which is a little scary for a guy headed towards 30. And not that he's really looked that part of being a guy on the decline, but we all know, you know, players, especially running backs, just kind of around that age, they can just go from like, oh, this person's never going to go down, to all of a sudden you just lose that little bit, right? You got guys coming in the league that are 6-7 years younger. It just changes. So he's still shown signs of being that guy. And I think, you know, it's not just a complete fall off, but there's no number two. I mean, Joshua Palmer was doing okay when he was out there. Mike Williams, the guy, poor guy, can't catch a break, man. I mean, they're such a different team. Herbert has only had Williams and Keenan healthy like 15% of the time that they've been on the team together. And that's why that draft pick, I feel like, didn't make a lot of sense, you know, like unless they really thought he'd be the heir apparent. But, you know, Parham, Everett, there's no tight end play with a Kellen Moore, you know, offense that we thought we would see a lot more down the field. We thought we'd see that tight end, and they just can't get that production. You know, it makes life tough on Herbert. And the offensive line is inconsistent. You know, Rashawn Slater's great overall for the most part, but, you know, Trey Pipkins, like they just don't have guys that really help Herbert when the time is needed, right? When it comes down to it. And so offensively, it adds up to what you're saying. It's going to be inconsistent when you got to throw the ball 20 times to Keenan. You don't have a run game to speak of. Eckler's not as explosive out of the passing game, and there's not a number two option in the passing game. It's like, how good can your offense really be?
I agree. Hey, man, I got a question for you, buddy. I was reading an article today I know you guys obviously want Staley out. There's an article though that was saying that there's trouble in paradise in New England, where Bill Belichick and the Robert Kraft are, maybe working on a buyout at the end of the season. And there's rumors that Belichick is really interested in coming out for the Chargers. Is that something that the Chargers fans are talking about, and is that something you guys would be happy about? That would be interesting, to say the least, if he did go there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I've seen it out there. Yeah, it excites me for sure, because this is a Charger team, like I mentioned before we, hopped on. I mean, mediocrity at the coaching level is what they've done. I mean, even back when they got rid of Marty, in the Rivers days, they went to Norv Turner. Like, come on, man. And since then, it's just been kind of just a carousel, right? Anthony Lynn. I mean, taking a chance on these guys, it's kind of like, the Padres hiring like Jace Tingler, and guys like that. And then they finally went out and got Melvin, side note, of course, that's like its own dumpster fire. Belichick's a winner. I mean, it's cut and dry for me. Like, this is a Charger team that over the last 10 years has been in 100 one-score games. And they have like a 400 winning percentage in those games. I believe a guy like Belichick would change that easily to 60-40. And just that alone would have put this team in multiple playoff games. Probably don't blow the football game against the Jags. Different decisions. I mean, Staley it's hard, right? Because when it works, you look like a genius. When things don't work, you don't, everyone's like, oh, you should have done this. You should have done that. Or why'd you go for it? But I mean, he's got 3rd and 15 and he's playing guys all the way back at the first down marker, and they still give up a first down, blow a 27-point lead in the playoffs. I don't think he's a head coach. And I don't know how you can't want Belichick. I mean, all those division titles, that winning record, that culture too. It's the culture of this San Diego and LA team that's been the same since they were the San Diego Chargers. They have some kind of dysfunction and they don't know how to win. Belichick, to me, changes that. I think overall the fan base would like it. I think the only people that really don't like it are your average kind of NFL haters that are like, I don't like New England. But, like, let's not get it twisted, man. Brady or no Brady, this guy's a legend. And you got to get past that little pettiness. I hate the Patriots, too. As much as you can hate in sports, I hate Tom Brady. I hate the Patriots. They've knocked us out multiple years, and there's nothing about it. But respect, yeah, 100%. So I would love to see Belichick come to this team, man. I mean, what else are they going to do? Hire another young new guy that's a hipster for the offense? Upgrade Kellen Moore, give him the reins. I mean, no offense to Kellen Moore, I just don't think that's the fit you do when you have a team that's on a closing window.
You're absolutely right, and it's got to be frustrating when you're so close, when you have all the pieces of the puzzle, but you don't have the guy to put them together.
That's why I liked keeping Staley even after the 27-0, choke, only because I believe in continuity. I don't like people just changing coaches, changing quarterbacks. I think that really hurts. I know it's hard sometimes to watch for a lot of teams. I just feel like you generally have a better chance to be good when you stick with that. But then it's how long is too long. And yeah, these, 10, 11 weeks, I mean, he's just shown that too inconsistent at the top, that now it's time for that change. I mean, I don't want bad continuity, but I thought he could turn it around, and he had his chances this year. And so they got to move on. It's unfortunate they probably won't do it till the end of the season. And I don't really want to see him make a run, because that would give him a reason to say he can stay.
Go ahead, Matt.
That's understandable. I always wonder what goes on over there with Staley, because it seems like he has almost all of it figured out. You know what I'm saying? It's not one of those situations where he doesn't have the players, because like I'm looking at your defense, and you guys have a fantastic core defensively. I know Bosa went down. We talked about that at the beginning of the show. You have Khalil Mack. You have Derwin James. You have Kenneth Murray, who's putting on, his best season so far, and Asante Samuel Jr. is over there. So there's a lot of different guys on that defense. And I was listening to a local radio show today, Evan, and Josh and I listen to the radio often. Um, it seems like the Chargers have a lot of big name players, like names that you recognize, but they don't play cohesively, and they're not, and they should be a lot better of a unit than they actually are. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I think it's, the proof is in the, first 10 games, right? I mean, it's like you just name the list of players they have. Another guy too, Alohi Gilman, the other safety opposite of Derwin James, might be having a better year than Derwin, but he doesn't get the recognition. So you're telling me that we're adding in another guy like this that nobody knows to this big list of names, and we still can't find a way to get it done. But the cohesiveness and, again, the inconsistency, like the back end, they don't give up a lot of deep plays, but they don't get to the quarterback at a successful rate. Their win rate, their pass rush rate, they're like above average in sacks, but Khalil had 6 in one game and they had 8 against the Jets. You take those 2 games out, this team, no sacks against the Lions. I don't know if they had any last week against Love, and we saw him pick them apart. They don't do those things in the trenches on both sides of the ball, which makes it really hard for those cornerbacks to be better, right? I mean, you guys know that. You guys come from a team of defense, and I mean, you had talent on the back end as well with guys like Humphrey, guys like Reed, right? For years, but you have to get after the quarterback. And when you don't do that consistently, you're putting a lot of pressure on guys like Derwin, guys like Asante. And it's just a grind throughout the game. So whether you want to put it on that or that they don't have the chemistry, maybe that's kind of a package deal, but I definitely agree. I mean, there's way too much talent to be where they are.
That's for sure. We're gonna get into the next segment of the show, Evan, where we break down our teams on each side of the ball. Josh, I wanted to let you lead off with this segment. What did you notice about their defense against our offense? How do you think this high-powered offense is going to fare against the San Diego Chargers defense? I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Chargers. Freudian slip.
Damn, man, that's like a low blow. Look, man, no offense to you, buddy, but as long as our offense doesn't play down to competition like we have been this year, we have done it a few times, all 3 of our losses. We should be able to pick them apart. They shouldn't be able to stop us in the air. Their secondary is in disarray. It seems like he's lost the locker room, man. They really don't have a pass rush. Bosa's out. We should be able to pick them apart, honestly, man. I mean, the middle should be wide open. We should be able to run the ball at will. I expect Mitchell to have some Anthony Mitchell to have some runs, man. I expect him to get a few more carries this week. I expect Isaiah to not quite replace Andrews, but I expect Isaiah to get a few targets and try to get him comfortable and settled and turned into the Isaiah we saw last year.
That's fair. The thing that I noticed, just from the limited, game film I've got to watch on the Chargers, if you isolate Mac and you run away from him, and with Bosa being gone now, that totally changes the way teams are going to play you guys. With all due respect, it's more or less, isolating him and then, relying on the rest of your defense to make a play on that front seven. And, with you guys not having as much, as much help in the front seven that you have before, I feel like we can run the ball on you guys a whole lot better. And banged up a little bit, and I'm hoping that our wide receivers can take advantage of that. But I know that there's no slouches in that secondary when it comes to your safeties and Asante Samuel. So that's where I think the game's going to be won and lost up front. And if our offensive line can handle Mac, I think that we're going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, you always got to look out for Cleo Mac. That dude's a monster, man. Always wanted to see him in purple and black.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he fits that.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where that got. Before we move on to the other side of the ball, I I know I mentioned him a couple minutes ago. How do you feel about Kenneth Murray? Because back when that draft came along, a lot of us wanted Kenneth Murray in Baltimore as opposed to Patrick Queen, and it seems like they're both doing in their contract year what we wanted them to do from day one. What's the temperature like with Murray at middle linebacker?
Yeah, the temperature is high, man. I mean, Patrick Queen is a hell of a player. He's guy's just all over the place. But Murray's becoming that guy, and kind of with some of those bigger names, you don't quite hear about him maybe as much nationally, because you get the Bosa, you get the Mac, you get the Derwin. Asante, has got his dad, right? He's a good young player. I mean, he's just quietly all over the field. He got hurt the other week, came back in, still managed to get the job done, was all over the field in Green Bay. This kid is showing, what we thought he could be, no doubt. I think everybody that is a Charger fan is high on Murray. There's a lot to like, and because he's this high flyer and a defense that gives up a lot of run to the second level and a lot of action over the middle, he has a field day. And so it's kind of like, I'd almost like to see his numbers a little lower because that might mean that they're having a little more success getting to the quarterback and stopping the run. You know what I mean? And then his 5, 6, 7 tackles would be a lot more impactful than his 9, 10, 11 that he has to make, because this defense just has so many holes. But individually, kid's a stud, man.
Absolutely.
He definitely is. It's one of those situations where I want you guys to do well and handle your business against the rest of the AFC North, but I'm hoping that Murray isn't flying around the field like that this weekend, under the bright lights. But kind of switching lanes a little bit, Josh. This number 2 ranked defense against this inconsistent offense with the Chargers. What are some of the things that stood out on film that you think the Ravens can or cannot handle?
Look, the Baltimore Ravens number 2 in the league in pass rush right now. We are dominating in pass rush. We are getting multiple sacks a game. Odafe Owe is going crazy. The Justin Matabuke is going crazy. Michael Pierce is having a hell of a year. This defense is just going crazy, man. We should be, as long as we can get pressure on Herbert, I don't see how they're going to have any success. I don't see him being able to run the ball on us. Now if Herbert has time and the Chargers offensive line can stand us up, then yeah, he's probably going to be able to pick us apart because he is a really good quarterback. I actually really like him. I just don't like him this game. But honestly, Matt, I think it's going to be a long day for him. I really do think, I know I'm an asshole, man, and I usually am way more cocky than I'm being, but I really believe if we don't play down, we're going to stroll through this game. We should get a lot of pressure on him. I see Odafe Owe is getting better and better. He is actually spinning now, folks. He actually spins. He has moves. He is fucking bending all of a sudden. Dude, we've been waiting for this for years from this dude. And all of a sudden, everything we thought he could be is slowly starting to happen. He's getting like a sack a game. He's getting a few pressures a game. He's playing the run a lot better, and he's starting to realize that he's big and strong. Like it's almost like he's grown into his body. He hasn't been playing football that long. That's the fact that he was a basketball player up until his junior year, Matt, senior year, something crazy. He switched to football. Yeah, he switched to football, and I think he got recruited on potential alone, and he got drafted on potential alone.
Because his last year at Penn State, he didn't have a sack.
No, and we took him in the first round, so it was all potential.
It definitely was. I think that with the way our defense is playing right now, the biggest thing is the health of Marlon Humphrey. He missed the Thursday night football game. Evan, he missed the game against the Bengals.
But Matt, he hasn't been right all year, so I don't see it anything.
He hasn't.
Different.
He hasn't.
It's not like he's been like our main dude.
The only thing that worries me with the secondary is that Keenan Allen is one of those receivers that has sneaky quickness. He's big, he's physical, and we don't have a whole lot of size in our secondary other than Kyle Hamilton. So
That's why we gotta get pressure, man. That's my point. We gotta get pressure.
We do gotta get pressure, and
Key to the game.
And if we give, like you said, we give Herbert enough time, he's gonna pick us apart.
He'll kill us.
And we have a trouble covering tight ends for the most part. And Njoku killed us twice already this year.
The dude kills us every time he plays us. You talking about Jocko, whatever his name, in Cleveland?
David and
Yeah,
Njoku.
like ton of targets.
Like,
well, the Chargers don't have a tight end, so you'll be all right.
Yeah. No, they
well, I mean, I know that dude. I know that dude Garrett
rush.
can run a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got the badass uniforms, man. Just an FYI, you have some badass uniforms.
They do have that. They got that. The vibes there. But I mean, yeah, Everett's been hurt. That hip's been bothering him. Parham is a beast of a man. He's like 6'6", 250, but a bunch of drops last week too. And you nailed it. It's the pass rush, because if you saw the Lions game, which was just a hell of a football game back and forth, the Lions had no sacks, which is crazy because the Chargers' O-line stacked up against Hutchinson and that team. They had no business allowing 0 sacks. But the Lions are also like 20th in passing yards allowed per game. So even if the Ravens don't quite get after Herbert, I still feel like this Ravens defense is good enough to kind of compensate a lot more than that Lions team. And then offensively, like you guys said, I mean, the Chargers' run defense, do not look at the numbers. They are not good. They're not good. Detroit showed that. They've played 3 top 10 running teams, and 2 of them were Chicago and Miami. They were beating Chicago out of the gate, and Miami threw for 400 yards. They didn't have to run the ball. Detroit ran the ball all over them. Baltimore, I believe, leads the league in rushing yards per game. And outside of Gus, you've got this monster Darren Sproles Jr. in the passing game with Keaton Mitchell. The Chargers allow the second most passing yards to running backs. Not to mention not getting after Lamar. Like, I don't want to say every time you think it's like this, the Chargers find a way to rise up with all that talent and make it a game and make this a 3-point game. But everything I look at, unless they hold the Ravens to no sacks and get a turnover or 2, I don't know how the Ravens don't win this game pretty easily. And I'm a confident Charger guy. I try to find the reasons that this talented team can win, but the Ravens defense is so good, so much better than the Lions, and I think their offense can move the ball the same way and run the ball that, Zay should have a field day over the middle of the field. That middle of the field defense is one of the worst in the NFL too.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, that the middle's open.
There's nothing we do well on defense. Everything we do poorly on defense is everything that you and the Lions do well on offense. That's not a good combination.
It's not. Right. It really isn't. And
but look, man, we've laid some eggs this year too. So, bro, yes, I'm not being cocky with you at all. We have laid some. We should be undefeated. All 3 of our losses, we were up 14 points with a few minutes left, and somehow figured out how to lose the game for whatever reason. So we are capable of going out there and laying a fucking egg. But I really hope not. I really do.
It's one thing I am interested to see is how you guys defend the offense that we have over here now. I know it's going to look a little bit different without Mark Andrews on the field, but Isaiah likely is pretty much a glorified wide receiver. He's just a tight end by definition. He can't block for shit, and he's not.
He's a wide out, bro. He's not blocking.
He's a wide out that puts his hand in the dirt. It's going to be different. We have another tight end, Charlie Kohler, who once he gets going, he gets a little bit of confidence. He can move the chains. But seeing Keaton Mitchell against your defense this week, that's going to be a big matchup. That's leading into our last segment for the pick the click and the score prediction. I believe that Keaton Mitchell is going to be the Ravens player of the game. His touches have increased, substantially since he got activated. He's had over 300 yards from scrimmage in 3 games. The guy can catch the ball in the backfield. He assists in blocking and in the open field for the wide receivers. He's pretty good in pass protection. That thunder and lightning combo with Gus Edwards and Keaton Mitchell, and then you throw in Justice Hill, who's a hard runner. It's gonna be interesting to see how they get this going, and not to mention Lamar Jackson can still run. But we cringe every time he runs, Evan. We don't
want him to run.
We don't want him running anymore. It was
No, of
fun while
course.
he. It
He
was
doesn't
fun while I
need
was
to.
on that. It was fun on that rookie contract, but not $260 million. And
It's
you know all too well that Herbert's got he's got even more money.
right. And it's like, it's funny because, I mean, we hadn't even really mentioned Lamar until right now, you know? And so it's like you add him to the mix. And yeah, this, I do want to ask you guys a question though, because, you know, I'm sure you guys play fantasy football as well. The likely Kolar, you know, debate. I mean, what is the word in Baltimore on the usage of these two guys? Who do you guys like? And do you see Kolar being a lot more involved and likely not maybe being the fantasy guy that, you know, people are thinking he might be? So kind of all that together, I just love the thoughts of, you know, Ravens guys on that, man.
Josh doesn't play fantasy football. I do. The thing is that Andrews gets targeted so much. He is the number one option for Lamar Jackson. He has been since they got on the field together. That's been his safety, you know, security net, his safety blanket for 5 years, 6 years now. And I think that with how balanced we are passing the ball in terms of how many people we throw to, I don't think one tight end is going to see necessarily volume catches the way that Andrews did, for the simple fact that both of them can't. They don't catch the ball in nearly a high percentage as Andrews does. But you have Odell Beckham Jr., you have Zay Flowers, you have Nelson Aguilar, you have Rashad Bateman, you have Devin Duvernay, and then you got the running backs that can catch out of the backfield. So I think that Lamar's gonna really just go with whoever's hot, whoever seems to be catching the ball. So if I'm a fantasy football owner that's going to take Likely or Kohler, that might be a flex option or a stash away on the bench and kind of like ride this game out and see what they look like. And then, you know, we got a bye next week, but the playoffs should be starting in most fantasy leagues in week 14 or 15. So that the targets are going to spread out. I don't see Lamar locking in with one of those guys the way he locked in with Mark. That's just a different kind of connection that's a Mahomes and Kelsey type of deal right there for us.
Right. And then since Josh, you watched the film, I mean, do you think that Likely maybe loses snaps because of that lack of blocking, that Kolar, you know, gets in there more to kind of limit what he, you know, likely can do as well offensively? Or do you think he's going to get an opportunity to play the majority of the snaps? Or we're looking at like a 50-50 timeshare?
They're going to
I see Likely's probably getting most of the snaps. He was made a lot more plays last year for us when Andrews wasn't healthy for a few games. He had like 3 touchdowns in a few games, made a lot of big plays downfield. So I assume it's going to be Likely. They'll probably use Pat Ricard to do his blocking duties. Pat Ricard's our fullback / tight end / running back, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I would. If I was going to put one I'm in fantasy, it would be Likely. I see Kolar in there on a lot of like 2 tight end sets, blocking and shit. I don't see Kolar getting a lot of targets, but Likely probably will get a few.
Yeah,
I get 4 or 5 targets over the middle, something like, because he's fast, he's tall, he's probably going to get some stuff over the middle.
I like that.
We like throwing over the middle, slants over the middle. We love over the middle stuff.
That's why I feel like this
deadly accurate
over
the middle.
I feel like Zay is the beneficiary. Other than, like you said, Matt, like they're so well spread that it could be anybody. Like I like Rashad Bateman. I know he's frustrating, you know. But this, to me, it's Zay that gets the uptick in this offense. I mean, if I'm Lamar, I'm trying to lock in on him if I can. But like you said, he likes to spread the ball. But I think if somebody benefits, but that tight end question was great, man, because it's a big debate in the fantasy community how much Likely can really benefit and how much, you know, you go spend on him and is Kolar going to play. So just wanted to get your guys' take on it.
But,
Kolar, Lamar's thrown his way maybe once all year, maybe twice. He doesn't really seem to be looking towards him at all.
The thing about Lamar Jackson though is that if he throws the ball to one of these guys and they have a couple of drops, it's evident that he loses confidence in that moment.
Oh yeah, he won't go.
And he starts spreading the ball to more people. To where if you drop the ball once or twice and then one of those drops is a touchdown, he's going to start looking in other places. Even if you might be his first or second read, he's still going to look to get the ball elsewhere because he's quietly having his best season to date, and that's to say an even better season than his Super Bowl or his MVP year. I know he had a lot of touchdown passes and he had a lot of high volume deep ball plays, but his his completion percentage is higher, his efficiency is higher, his QBR is higher, and he has legitimate playmakers in this offense. And I know that it's starting to get a little bit of a national attention. And Josh and I have been talking about it. I was on the bandwagon for Odell Beckham Jr. to be a Baltimore Raven the minute they started reporting it back in February and March of this year. The dude's finding his rhythm. He's looking like the old Odell on tape. So I'm hoping that Odell can kind of hone in on some of those targets that were going to Andrews because
his
right
feet
now,
are back, man. His explosion is back. That slant over the middle last week, man, on film got me so excited. I almost jumped out of my seat at work, man, because he just took off. And I haven't seen that out of him in years. Not even when he was hot in L.A., when he got his Super Bowl. I didn't see that kind of explosion out of him. So that was really exciting to see because I never thought we'd see that again. I thought the Odell we were getting is what we were getting, and that was the Odell I kind of expected. A few catches, going to move the chains for you a few times a game, maybe get you some flags, and that's what I expected. But to see him explode like that and kind of look like his feet are finally under him, that was exciting because if he can play like that, man, he takes Lamar and this offense to a whole nother level. I just think the key for him right now is to stay healthy. Like I keep saying to the Ravens fans, we signed him for December and January. We did not sign him for the regular season. I just don't believe we did. We signed him to have him healthy in the playoffs and to hopefully help get the Ravens back into the Super Bowl.
What's the worry level on his shoulder?
Right now, they're dumbing it down. They're saying it's fine. It's nothing to worry about. But the Ravens are known for bullshit and really bad.
When it comes to injuries.
Yeah, you could see in his presser the other day, man, he was you could see him like straining in his face. It's hurting him. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe he doesn't play in this game. I don't know. But I hope he does. Hopefully it doesn't affect him, man, because like I said, he has been looking very explosive, man, having over 100-yard games now, and he found the end zone a few weeks ago for the first time. Now he's scoring touchdowns. It's exciting to see.
And it was so frustrating, Evan, because early on in the year, even towards the middle part of the season, he's getting mugged at the line of scrimmage and downfield. He's consistently drawing pass interference penalties, but these cornerbacks are so hell bent on not giving up the big play to OBJ that they can't keep their hands off of him. And it reared its ugly head, a couple weeks ago. He scored his first touchdown on his birthday a couple weeks ago, and then he scored another touchdown the week after that. He's definitely got his explosiveness back, and seeing him in the open field, he's making guys miss again. Him and Zay Flowers out there making guys miss, and then you add in this running game. If this is all gelling like this, and we're only going to get better as the season progresses and we get more comfortable, we're going to be a steamroller come January. But to your credit, with the question about the tight ends and about the disbursement of the targets, it's definitely I wouldn't start likely, but it's gonna you might get luck out with one of the Ravens wide receivers, like you said, Bateman as well. It was crazy though, Evan, because today's injury report released, and every single Ravens wide receiver on the entire active roster was on the injury report today.
Wow!
Every single wide receiver 1 through 6 was on the injury report.
I wonder what it'll look like. I mean, I guess it is. What's today? Today's Wednesday, right? So, I mean, Wednesday's report's not as concerning, but still to see the entire list named on there, I mean, so you're just looking at, Thursday and Friday practice, hoping that everybody's out there, right? I mean,
yeah. And, with this week being Thanksgiving, I doubt they're in the building much tomorrow, if at all. And then they're probably flying out there Friday. So I think this might be one of those things where every wide receiver is pretty much going to be like, hey, can you go? And they're going to be either activated. Like Josh said, it wouldn't surprise me if Odell missed this game. But I think if he can go, he's gonna want to be out there because he wants to keep on building on what he's given the team the last couple of weeks. But to start the final segment of our show, Evan, this is our pick the click bold prediction score prediction segment. So since you are our guest, if you have a bold prediction for the game, a player of the game, and if you can give us your score prediction for the Sunday Night Football contest.
Well, I guess if I can go two ways with it, because I'd love to pick the Chargers and go bold there. But I mean, if you want my objective view, like I said, I expect the Ravens, man, to run the ball a lot. And even more so to what you just said about the receiving core. Like, there's no reason not to feed Gus, not to run the screen game with Keaton, and then open things up, make it nice and easy. So, but if I'm going to go the other side and pick my Chargers, I mean, it's that the offensive line can hold up. The Ravens don't get a sack on Herbert, and Herbert's able to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Obviously, most of that to Keenan, but Herbert would be the MVP because even if Keenan has 150, 170 yards, somebody else is going to make up that 150 plus. So it's got to be Herbert in the O-line. And defensively, they're going to contain Mac, like you said. So to me, it's Fox and the rookie Tutopu, whatever his name is. Those two guys got to come up and make multiple sacks for this team. So I'll say that the Chargers are able to do that, rise to the occasion on prime time when beat a team that, they shouldn't beat instead of playing down to their competition and somehow find a way to win this game, 27-24. But I'll be lying to you if I said I wouldn't be shocked, and that's kind of a homer pick.
It's okay. We expect it.
Yeah. But
I appreciate your objectivity, though. We appreciate that so much because a lot of people come in here as homers and don't want to see anything else. But you did your homework on us, that's for sure. So
I expect Gus to go nuts, man. I mean, I think Mitchell's a great call, but I just think Gus finds the end zone, and I think the Ravens play with a lead. Gus gets in the end zone at least once, if not twice. It's just what he does, and if the Ravens are ahead, they're going to feed him. So I really think the Ravens run the ball, 30-plus times and dominate on the ground.
Josh, let's have it, buddy. I'm ready. I love this part of the show.
All right, here we go. Look, man, no offense to you, buddy, but I think the Ravens run through this game. I think it's a blowout. I think it's something like 46-17. My pick to click is Gus Edwards. I'm going to say he has 15 touches, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. He goes off. And the Ravens heading to the bye, getting healthy and ready to come back home and play the Los Angeles Rams down at the bank.
Okay. My pick to click is Keaton Mitchell. I said it earlier in the show. I think Keaton Mitchell, personally, I think he kind of cuts into Gus's numbers a little bit. I think Keaton has 15 total touches, and I think that he's going to have 170 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns between the air, all-purpose air and running the ball. And my prediction for the game is a 42-24 contest. I believe that the defense scores at least 1 touchdown this week, and I think that the defense gets after Herbert, and I believe that we have another 5-sack game. But that's what I'm hoping for at least. But Evan, I want to thank you for coming on the show, man. I know tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I know that you got a lot going on over there. You did us a huge favor coming on the show with 24 hours notice, not even 24 hours notice, a little bit less. Evan, you've been a great guest. Let everybody on our side know where they can find you online, where you cover the Chargers, and we'll definitely run this back during baseball season. I'm sure we play the Padres this coming year.
Definitely. I will say it's probably not a good sign for us that your guys' 2 picks are the 2 guys that I fear the most as well here. But, we got to go out there and play the game. So that's all I can hang my hat on is, make some, every week, man, any given Sunday. But, hey, thank you guys for having me, man. Happy Thanksgiving to both you guys as well. Happy to come on and talk anytime. But, Yeah, man. Evan at SoCal Ball Nerd on X or Twitter. I don't like calling it X, but it is what it is. High Point Sports. I cover the Chargers. There's 32 of us that each cover an NFL team. So you can find me over there at High Point Sports with Personal Corner and Des Bryant. Got a big thing going on there, kind of a for the players, by the players run thing. That's pretty cool. And co-founder of the Sports Affiliation. Myself and a couple other guys started this about a year ago. Big into fantasy and sports betting, positive community. You can go to thesportsaffiliation.com, check out some of my articles, other guys and gals articles on there as well. Go to the Sports Affiliation YouTube. We got shows pretty much every night out of the week. A couple women on there doing some awesome stuff on there as well. I think Saturday is about the only week we don't have something. We got some college stuff. So not just myself, man. Anything with the Sports Affiliation, go and give them a follow, show some support. They'll give that support back. And yeah, man, just excited. Thanks for having me again. And we'll see what happens on Sunday night. Nothing like a primetime matchup.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see.
We hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family. Be safe over there on the West Coast. And Josh, shut it down, man.
All right, Ravens fans, I like this dude, so I'm gonna keep it classy. Let's go to bed and get this game over with and get the bye.